Hi, welcome to the weekly presser with Dr. Alvin Parker. Coach, you had almost pulled out a great win against Hampton University. Can you give? Well, unfortunately, the Pirates came out on top, 33 to 21. Can you please give us your thoughts on the game?
Uh, almost doesn't count. It's kind of that. I thought we played about maybe 51 minutes of pretty good football, and I thought we played 9 minutes of not so good football. So but it was a learning experience, and we had our chances, and didn't necessarily take advantage of all of them, and we came out on the bottom side of that. So, but we're looking to regroup and focus on the next opponent.
We had three players this week named CIAA Players of the Week: Jada Byers, Shamar Graham, and help my old
Reggie
man
Vick,
memory,
Reginald Vick.
Reginald Vick, for Offensive Receiver of the Week. Jada had another 100-yard plus a game, and Shamar Graham, 17 tackles, the most since Charles Davis in 2014 for VUU. Can you give me a comment on those players?
Those two staples for us. So they knew they had to play in a big game like Saturday. So and I think they performed. Having 17 tackles was something that was pretty amazing by Shamar. And Jada had a couple big runs in that game that kind of kept us in the ball game. I think he had 2 touchdowns as well. So I'm proud of those guys. And Reginald Vick had another great performance on the outside. He had a touchdown and he had another plus 100-yard receiving game. So I was happy to see that as well.
We're going to open up the presser for questions. Please identify yourself and what organization you're with, and please go ahead.
Coach Gary Stein with WCBM Radio here in Baltimore, and I play for Virginia Union. Looking forward to it. Coach, I saw some of the game, and also I was going through play-by-play. If you could comment for me, it's not often where your defense allows 33 points just in general, but it seemed like Hampton in the second half especially had a lot of success on third down conversions, especially third and long in those last 2 or 3 drives. If you could just talk a little bit about that and what they were able to do to be successful there.
They did. You're correct, Gary. They did have a success on some third downs late in the game when we probably should have got off the field. And that was both sides. Some on offense we did not convert. Some on defense we did not stop those guys. And, it was timely. So you're going into the fourth quarter with about maybe 9 to 10 minutes remaining in the game, and we were winning. And you look back and say, we could have had some different swings here and there. It could have been a different outcome, we felt like. But, we gave ourselves a chance. We were winning at halftime. We were winning after the third quarter, but we get to the fourth, we just didn't quite finish. And those third downs had a lot to do with that.
Are there any other questions for Coach? I'd like to ask a little. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sean.
I'll certainly go again if that's okay. Coach, in that second half, so after Reginald Vick had that 57-yard touchdown catch, so you guys basically had him on the ropes. I know that you just mentioned that you basically weren't able to finish, but did you see anything differently there? Like, were they doing anything differently at that point? I'm talking about the Hampton offense.
Not necessarily anything differently. They were able to do some things, like you said, convert some big third downs that normally we get off the field with. I thought that was something that was a little different. And our defense, uncharacteristically probably missed a couple tackles along the way, but I thought those guys played well for most of the night. We just had some plays that we just tried not to give up some explosives, and some of those kind of came on those third downs. But those guys played well, and I think as a whole, we played well enough to win. But just not finishing like I thought we should have.
Hey, Coach, I have a question. Sean Robertson, City of Six in Richmond, and host of your coach's show. Do you have an update on RJ's condition from last game?
No update yet. We're still trying to kind of get everything figured out. He's walking around with a smile on his face, so he seems like he's ready to go. But we just got to make sure we get doctor's clearance on that. But he wanted to go back in the game on Saturday. So it was just one of those things that we just couldn't let happen until we kind of got whatever the diagnosis was. But we're looking forward to see what that says, and he's ready to play.
I wanted to ask about Hampton using their two quarterback system with Zealous and also Mays. Do you think that had a difference in the second half and how they were able to use their two different quarterbacks?
I think they both played pretty much the same. So preparing for one was kind of like preparing for the other for us. And both of those guys have a tons of experience. So they just use their experience down the stretch to make some good decisions. And hats off to Hampton. Those guys made some adjustments and did some things. We're playing those type of guys. And anytime you get into one of these battles, a D2 versus FCS, you got to be able to finish because they're probably going to have a tad bit more depth than you. So that probably was the key for us, I think. But those two guys played well. Both of those quarterbacks for them played well and made some timely throws and did some things down the stretch to help those guys win.
Coach, with the bye week coming up, does this help you? Like further talk to your team about what happened and kind of go over, what the things that needed to be corrected after the Hampton game.
We're attacking it normal, even though it's a bye week. We had some good work today at practice. So we felt good about that. But it's definitely a time to clean up some things. We've only played 2 ball games, and I think we played 2 ball games, well enough to win both. But it's some things that kind of happen in both of those that you want to correct. And I think we're taking the time to make sure we do that. And our guys are taking the corrections because they're kind of eager to get back at it. But it'll be a time for us to kind of just kind of get some of those basic things kind of done and some of those basic things kind of covered. That we feel like we could have done better in week 1 and week 2. Week 0 and week 1. So the bye week is what it is, and we're looking forward to this. Is the first time we've had one since I've been coaching here, so we're going to definitely take advantage of it. And I think it comes pretty timely before we jump into the next half against all CIAA opponents.
Can you talk a little bit about Mark Wright and how you thought he did coming in for RJ?
I think being thrust in the type of situation that Mark was, it probably was a little difficult. I think right there, at the cuffs of it, going into the 4th quarter, I believe, is when he kind of jumped in for us, So he performs. Mark has a big arm. He's played in a bunch of big games, so we trust him. He's one of those guys we feel good about. And, along the way, him and RJ kind of battled throughout the spring and throughout the summer for that job. So, we definitely have a lot of faith in him. So, we're going to have to ride him when it's time, just like everybody else. We speak to our depth and we speak to a lot of the guys that can make plays at any position. So, not just, focusing on Mark, but all of the guys that play a role that, when we got to count on them, we got to count on them. We expect them to be ready.
Coach, so we had 3 games in NCAA that went against FCS teams, and they all finished relatively close. And I was a little curious about your comment about depth. Was the issue of depth at the offensive defensive line levels, or was it at other sections for your team?
I think as a whole, at all the positions, like you said, they were able to play, multiple quarterbacks, multiple receivers, multiple defensive linemen down the stretch. And our game plan was what it was. And I thought we did a pretty good job of sticking to it, but down the stretch, we did some things that were uncharacteristic. You can't turn the ball over in your territory. You got to make tackles when it's timely. You got to get off the field on 3rd downs. And that's you got to do those things no matter who you're playing against, Division I or Division II team. So I think some of those things that make you a better football team and those things, got to happen. But when you, like I said, when you look up and you see, guys kind of keep rolling in and out, from that side of things, that's when depth gets kind of questioned. And down the stretch, I think that was something that, we need to make sure we did a better job of kind of getting guys in and rotating guys in. But you just want to make sure you got the proper guys in those situations when you're playing against that type of opponents.
Excellent, thank you.
Hey, Coach, what does the rest of your schedule look like this week on your bye week?
Well, we're gonna try to work the guys in some time off, but we kind of stick in the regular schedule now, just to, just don't want to get these guys out of routine. They have our guys work better on routine, so we still kind of working on our routine, but we making sure that we just fine tune things and take advantage of kind of getting all the way back healthy and just kind of catching up on some things on the mental side of everything. So it's been pretty good thus far. So, we're just going to use the rest of the week to do those things that I just talked about and kind of get ready for next week.
Our next opponent will be Johnson C. Smith on September 21st. The Golden Bulls are playing Lincoln University of Pennsylvania this week. So, Coach, you've won the last 5 meetings between Johnson C. Smith and VUU. What kind of team is Johnson C. Smith?
I think we've watched them a little bit, and Coach Flowers does a great job. So we expect nothing less than a great ball club. So, but I think this week we just doing more focusing on ourselves and just making sure that we're ready to go. So and we have a great ball club, and I think those guys, like I said, played well enough these first couple weeks to be on the other side of everything. But some things again we got to clean up, and we're going to focus on making sure those things are right.
Are there any other questions for Coach Parker? Alrighty, thank you everybody, and that completes this edition of the Coach Parker Presser. And we'll see you again next Tuesday at 2 o'clock.
Right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.